All right, YouTube and Auburn fans, once again, it's Kennard, Vernon, and Stewart here for the podcast. Talking Auburn football, doing another nightcap as we do every now and then. Probably do it more often than we should. Go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Appreciate the cash apps. $ Kennard Stewart at Cash App. It doesn't matter. $1, $2, $3, it don't matter, right? And as always, it's great to be an Auburn Tiger War Eagle. A lot of stuff going on with your Auburn Tigers this week. A lot of guys have cracked into breakout mode week one. Want to give out a shout out to War Report because I saw on one of their thumbnails they were like, well, it's just Akron. Ain't nobody really taking a lot of stock into Akron. But apparently the fans and the nation are kind of taking notice of the domination that Auburn had over Akron. We know it's Akron, but we know University of Louisiana Monroe is the same University of Louisiana Monroe that Alabama faces when they beat them 65-0 in a 12 o'clock game. See, here's the thing. The reason why people are really starting to kind of give the looky eyes that you see on social media is because folks ain't used to Auburn beating folks like this, to where the score is 33-0 before halftime and all that kind of stuff. No matter who it is, we all remember Auburn against Jacksonville State, almost losing to them in overtime, right? We remember Auburn struggling against Mercer Southern Miss in 2017, one of Gus Malzahn's best year, actually, which is kind of scary in and of itself. Now, I'm going to give a disclaimer right now. A lot of folks talk about my comparisons to Gus Malzahn, and they say, okay, well, you don't have to keep continuing your display of hate for Gus Malzahn. As a matter of fact, you know what? I took a lot of bullets. I took a lot of heat. I took a lot of heat from a lot of social media platforms that I'm actually really cool with that accuse me of sunshine pumping Gus Malzahn. And the reason why I sunshine pumped the guy, now that I know what the term means, is because I really wanted, because I think his intent was there. I really wanted Gus Malzahn to be successful. However, it seems like he's taking that same show on the road to where it's got to be a bunch of drama and all this other stuff for him to win football games. And like at this stage in my life, I'm going to be 42 my next birthday. Alabama State and Akron, I need them to be blowouts to where there's no... Matter of fact, at the early part of the Akron game, okay, this is how critical I was of that. Akron actually converted on two third downs against Auburn this past week, the first drive. And I was like, uh-oh, here's a bullet point. Here's something that I'm going to have to talk about. But after they sealed that deal and only gave up 188 yards against Akron, I was like, all right, so now we got something different. Now we got a situation where in a game where Auburn is supposed to do this, they're scoring at will. It ain't no crazy end arounds. It ain't no scooping scores. Auburn had 0 takeaways, which is something that I'm a little... I want to change, though, because that will add to the dynamics of the defense. But hell, when the quarterback is constantly getting sacked, he can't throw the damn ball to get a takeaway. All right? But I have a lot of respect for Gus Malzahn, especially considering former high school coach and being able to dash his way in the college football world as he has. I think you got to give it, kind of tilt your hat for that alone. Because there's not many not many high school football coaches that can say the same thing. That's probably just as skilled or probably just as, on on point as Gus Malzahn. And he kind of kept his thing going with UCF, 500 plus yards. I mean, they kept the ball rolling, especially in the second half. So he's a good coach. He just ain't good for. I just think his philosophies and his approach to preparation, to be fair, 20 years of high school football embedded in him, just not serious enough for college football. All right, so now that we've gotten that out of the way, how about this? Auburn, the first college football rankings have come out. CarCast, guys. I look for a reason to go out late at night. I'm actually on a Kroger run. But look, Auburn has actually cracked the top 25 by beating Akron. So that means the media sees what some of y'all see. Y'all saw some good stuff against Akron. You saw a well-prepared team that, pretty much had their way. That's what a top 25 team should do against a team like Akron. Now, here's another reason why Auburn probably cracked the top 25 is because you kind of can't justify, considering how other Power 5 teams performed against non-Power 5 opponents and the just annihilation of Miami against Alabama, which was, it's just continuing to get ridiculous. Miami was supposed to be back kind of sort of on a competitive standpoint in college football, but they're out here looking like UL Monroe, FAU, stuff like that. But you take all those things into consideration, and now you have an Auburn team that, after pretty much dominating a non-Power 5 football team, has cracked the top 25, and rightfully so. Now, if I'm going to be an antagonist, I would say that this gives the justification down the stretch, because, this kind of sort of is about, money and ratings and stuff like that. I would say it's actually a pretty good move by the AP poll and the other polls for that matter, because you don't want to make it obvious. Everybody knows Auburn's going to beat Alabama State next week. But you don't want to make it obvious that you're putting Auburn in the top 25 just to make this Auburn versus Penn State, because Penn State's going to be probably in the top 10, top 15. You don't want to make such a marquee matchup obvious that you place them in the top 25 after beating Alabama State. So the timing kind of works out. And the fact that Auburn performed at a very decent level helps to justify the cause. Y'all will catch that in a couple of weeks. You just can't have such a marquee matchup. Now, I'll say this. If Penn State would have found a way, which they had plenty of opportunity, they would have found a way to lose to Wisconsin, then I'm not too sure that Auburn would have been able to sneak into the top 25. Now, I don't care if you think that's invalid or not. But what I do want you to do is, while you got your wallet out, go ahead and send the Cash App, $Kennard Stewart, KENNARD STEWART. That's what I need you to do. I think that they're setting the stage for what's going to be a showdown anyway. It's going to be all white. It's going to be a night game in Penn State. Auburn is going to be wearing all white too. By show of hands, how many of y'all like the Auburn all white jerseys? I do. As plain as it is, probably some of the best college football uniforms that I've seen. Plain and simple though. Don't have to add no blue helmets and all this other alternate stuff. Auburn's all white is about as good as it gets. Especially when they team it up with all the little accessories and gloves and shoes and stuff. I think this is probably the best combo of uniform in all of college football. So, I won't keep you guys long, but I also want to acknowledge some of the players of the game. T.D. Moultry. We had a lot of questions about T.D. Moultry, coming into this year, where he would fit, Dude got defensive player of the game the first game. Oh yeah, we know it's Akron. But TD Moultry didn't do that against Tulane. That's even if he was in the game. Right? So I think we got to get in the habit of giving credit where credit is due. Yeah, we want to see how TD Moultry performs against Power 5 teams for sure. All the players. But TD Moultry definitely deserving of the defensive player of the week. Now, I like Bo Nix as the offensive player of the week. I mean, he really did do well. But one of the not so unsung, but kind of sort of unsung, pretty, I think probably that diamond in the rough that we talked about. I did a video on Jarquez Hunter. Jarquez Hunter had a pretty good football game, had single-digit carries, 100-plus yards. Right? I think he has the capability and possibility to really help supplement this running game. And I don't think they will take, the coaching staff will take the approach of 2013 where, there were 3 backs involved. You talk about Trey Mason, Cameron Artis-Payne, and Corey Grant. But they could actually utilize this, especially now that we know there's someone there and Sean Shivers, who, is really approaching this game with a lot of intensity, can really help supplement the running game, man. I'm really excited about this week. I'm on Brian Harson's boat to where, you take it 1 week at a time. You want to improve 1 week at a time. You want to make sure that you analyze weeks of practice to make sure that the players and your coaches are approaching the game in a real educated kind of way. I want y'all to go ahead and crank these cash apps up. I really appreciate that. $ Kennard Stewart. Also, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Share it to any social media outlet that you feel compelled to. It's a lot of stuff on Instagram, Facebook, and all that other stuff. Looking forward to talking about Auburn versus Alabama State tomorrow. And as always, great to be an Auburn Tiger, War Eagle.